the man who was said to discover America, but we all know that's a lie.
I know that he was a jerk.
So he found like that one little part of America, right?
He sailed the ocean.
I know that he was the founder of America. Am I right?
Christopher Columbus, Triumph or Tragedy by Dania Hall and Nicole Henderson. Tell us what you know about Christopher Columbus.
He was from Europe. Oh, he was a colonizer too.
Alright, so there's this nursery rhyme. It's like Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue 1492.
I know he sailed to the Americas.
He sailed on the ocean.
I know that he sailed on the Mayflower.
Oh, like he did like the Atlantic, sailed like 4 of the Atlantic things or whatever. Like the ocean, I don't know.
Yeah, and then he came and he almost died.
Do you think Christopher Columbus' exploration and discoveries were either a triumph or tragedy? And why?
It was a triumph for Spain, but it was a tragedy for the American Indians.
I guess.
My opinion, I would say a tragedy.
Well, there were like Vikings like before him, like that did the same thing. So I don't think it'd be like, I don't know. It should be like really recognized, you know, like because like.
Well, I think it's kind of in the middle because he killed a lot of people because a lot of people died because of what he did. But then it's also good because now we're here. So
Brought nothing but tragedy to the world, like slavery, tragedy.
I guess it was good because it let people know that there was land and stuff, like trading routes or something. I don't know.
It was good because I don't know.
The United States, well, when I think about the United States and its past, I just think about nothing but war and hurt, and I feel like that wouldn't have happened if Christopher Columbus didn't discover America. So yeah, tragedy.
Christopher Columbus was an Italian explorer and born in Genoa, Italy in 1451. As a teen, he was given a job on a merchant ship. The ship was attacked by French, and Columbus escaped to Lisbon. He began to form his plan of west route to Indies. His goal was to find a direct route from West Europe to Asia, and accidentally stumbled upon the Americas. By the 15th century, it was impossible to reach Asia by land. The Portuguese explorers started going by sea around the huge continent Africa, and Columbus proposed to sail west to Asia. After many tries to convince that his plan was good enough, he finally got a good response from Ferdinand of Aragon and Isabella of Castile in 1491 and promised to find riches. The contract stated Columbus keep 10% of his riches and earn governorship of any lands he may find. On August the 3rd, 1492, Columbus set sail from Spain in 3 ships. On October the 12th, they made it to land and Columbus assumed they were in Asia, but were actually at one of the Bahamian islands. Columbus sailed from island to island looking for things worth value, but didn't find much for his patrons. So he returned to Spain in March 1943 and left 40 men behind in settlement. During his second voyage, Columbus returned to the Americas and found his settlement destroyed. Left were his brothers, some of his ship's crew, and hundreds of enslaved natives to rebuild. He himself went along west with some natives, slaves, to continue search for riches. Since he found none, he instead sent 500 slaves to Isabella, but she sent them back. His third voyage in May 1498, Columbus sailed west across the Atlantic for the third time and saw his settlement where colonists staged a bloody revolt against Columbus' brothers' mismanagement and brutality. With bad conditions, Spanish governments had to send new ones to take over. Christopher Columbus was arrested and turned to Spain in chains. Last voyage in 1502, he had cleared most of his charges, but was stripped of noble title. He then persuaded Spanish king to pay for one last trip across the Atlantic, in which Columbus made it all the way to Panama, but had to abandon 2 of his 4 ships due to an attack from hostile natives. Columbus returned to Spain empty-handed and died in 1506. Triumph. With Columbus' exploration of the world brought forward new and benefiting things to the people of Spain and all over, such as the Columbian Exchange, which brought potatoes and corn to Europe and Africa. In the West Indies, he found foods like pineapples, sweet potatoes, and corn. In Cuba, he found tobacco. Also was changed was Europe's eating habits with new food like chocolate, potatoes, corn, and tomato. The most impact did not come straight from Columbus' voyages, but from colonization and other voyages that followed. In the centuries that followed, their descendants, including Americans today, built the richest, most prosperous country on earth. The tragedy of his tale starts in the Bahamas, where Columbus enslaved the Arawaks, even though they showed great hospitality. In Haiti, Columbus ordered the natives over 14 to provide a quota of gold, and those who didn't, hands were cut off. During his time there were over 250,000 deaths by murder, suicide, and mutilation. According to chronicler Pedro Ciez de Leon, would raise all greatness that the continent had produced, leaving nothing but death, pain, and despair everywhere that the gentleness conquered. Also overlooked were things such as the spread of disease from Europe. Slaves from neighboring countries were being taken to the Americas, where slavery continued for many, many years. And while this was happening, Europeans continued to take natural resources. Was it a triumph or tragedy? Do you have any final thoughts on Christopher Columbus or a change of opinion?
I guess he's pretty stupid.
I still feel the same way. Like, everything that they said brought some type of tragedy.
Bad.
Why?
Because he didn't find it. Native Americans did.
He's a jerk, and he killed a lot of people with diseases.
I like it inspired more people to go over there, to like explore. I don't know if that was based off Europeans, I forgot. But yeah, I guess it was good for the Europeans.
I mean, yeah, it was a triumph for Europe and stuff. We discovered more of, another continent, and it put, more knowledge about the world.
I mean, I don't think we would be here.
If it weren't for him?
Yeah.
Cool man, I guess.
You still think he's cool?
No.
He pretty much made everything worse for like everybody.
I think it was a complete tragedy. Well, no, it's still the same.
No opinion.
I think it was a tragedy and a triumph. It was a tragedy because a lot of people died.
It
Probably
was.
a tragedy for them, yeah.
Enslavement, he didn't just enslave, they raped and killed thousands of people. Like,
I think it was a triumph because now we have more people in America. And we're not all jerks like him.
the Columbian Exchange, Spain would have been fine without the crops that were in the Americas.
It's a tragedy now because like I barely knew his story. I only knew that little nursery rhyme thing. So
He took over.
Colonizing the Americas brought sickness to the Americas. It brought different diseases to the Americas.
Well, it's just kind of a natural, that's kind of where natural selection comes in.
yeah, because they all died. Well, some of them died, not all of them.
That wasn't a good thing.
It traumatized millions. Like, it's kind of like thinking about it right now is kind of making me upset.